We did kind of this presentation a few years ago on the fly. He kind of filled in one year so we're really glad to have him. He volunteered to come, so I know you're going to enjoy it. So, Jerry, let you get started. I think you've been in Scotty since you were like 2 years old, right?
Something like that.
Yeah, there you go. So, right.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Jerry. Since there's a lot of people here, could everybody move like to the left so the people in the back can maybe sit down? Maybe the camera could scan the back people or something so we can see and everybody can fit in here.
We'll get a bigger tent for it.
A Dodge dealership. That's what Mr. Serro, who owns Serro Scotty, had back in the 50s. Very successful, and he sold it at 55 years old. What a great time to retire, but he couldn't settle. Couldn't settle down. Him and his wife had some camp down, I can't remember the town, Deerfield, Pennsylvania. He had a small camp, and he just tinkered around with the idea of building a camping trailer on the back of a little piece of paper, which the family still has. And tried different things. He came up with a 16-footer camper. He built 6 of them in his garage. Joe Pershel, his son-in-law, took it around town, tried to go to different dealers to sell it. Nobody wanted it. And every time Joe turned the corner, Jerry said the whole thing felt like it was so top heavy, things were going to tip right over, he said. Nobody would buy the thing. Back to the drawing board. He built a little tiny 10-foot teardrop, which I have over in Loop 2 at Site 42. That's what I have. Bought them to put on their lot as a gimmick to get people to stop, hoping, okay, they'll stop, but let's move them into a bigger, a Shasta, let's move them into a bigger trailer. They didn't have bigger Scotties, they just had the little Scotties at the time. Let's try to get them to move into something bigger. So it's more of an eye-catch thing. They really didn't sell that well. They made 220 of them. I have number 37, and that was built in his barn, at his house actually, before. It was just him, his son-in-law, and they had a local milkman and a carpenter that worked part-time there. He went back to the drawing board again, and he sketched out a little 13-foot trailer, and I'll end that with the rest is history. They sold thousands of them. The little 13-footers are one that took the company off, literally. He just started, building them in his factory. He moved down, he lived like 2 miles down the road, built the factory down the road, started mass producing these things, and they just sold like hotcakes. For $6.95, $7.95, you can get a 13-foot trailer. Even back in the 60s, that's still a good deal to take a family on vacation, even back then. Pretty basic trailers. They didn't expect them to be around in the year 2000, As we all know, there's probably 8,500 staples in them, A lot of rotten wood. They didn't expect the roofs to last, They wasn't back then for $6.95. What do you want? It's all stick and staple stuff. But they were still known as a quality trailer for the price, and like I said, they just sold thousands of them. In turn, when all these people were buying them, he decided to come up, him and his wife, let's buy some property in Somerset. When 9/11 happened in Shanksville, Scottyland Campground's about 45 minutes from there. And, yes.
No,
I thought you had a question. Do you need coffee? Is this coffee break already? Okay, let's take 10.
He's going out the door. He's trying to get
Goodbye.
Put your hands in your pocket.
I thought you had a question. I thought you were going to contradict me. Sold. Yeah.
He just bought a trailer.
And my asking price too. What better? So him and his wife bought a huge chunk of land in Somerset, right near Shanksville, when the plane went down in 9/11. And he started this campground just for Scotty owners. And I find that so remarkable. From 63, 64, all the way up to 19, it opened up to other brands in 87, I think it was, or 88, they opened up to any brands. But that whole time, you can only go in there with a Scotty trailer. It's pretty limited, but people went. And it was nice to have your own private campground down there. And of course they had the rallies. Scottyland in August had a 3-night rally, and it drew a lot of people. I have a newspaper here from 1970. Scotty also the company put out newspapers quarterly. I have a bunch up here. You're more than welcome to flip through them. Be gentle. If you rip them, don't worry. It's not the end of the world. Feel free to come up here and look through them. It's remarkable for a small company, all the stuff they did. And it's one thing they did is a newspaper. And this one here, from 1972, Christmas at Scottyland, draws nearly 5,000. They had 817 trailers. Now there's 100 almost here at this rally. So imagine 817. They had seasonal sites at Scottyland. Again, they're just small little tiny trailers. The biggest one they made was an 18-footer back in, they went bigger in the 80s, but in the 70s basically it was like 18-footer. So they did have some seasonal sites, but the agreement was at rally time you had to let people on your site. When they were like, you were sardines. Trailers were blue and white, 63 to 78, the same color. 817 trailers at a rally. You got to get up and go to the bathroom at night. You might have had maybe a little bit too much, possibly. How many people do you think got in the wrong trailer? I verified it. It's happened. Not just walking in, but getting into the gaucho, the bed, with the wrong person. Because all the trailers looked the same, and they were so tight. At least here, you've got, you kind of know your property line. You were like sardines there. And all of them were painted the same. They had some different decorations, but at nighttime, who knows? And it happened quite a bit. People get, not intentionally, I'm sure there was something, but not intentionally, people got in the wrong trailer with the wrong people. So again, you got 817 trailers times that, a family, let's say 5,000. That's they had quite a big turnout there of people. And it was very minimal. I think like $2 or $5 for family to register. Huge cookouts. One of these papers has the barbecue pit for the chickens. I forget, it's in there, the statistic, the number. It's like thousands, I don't know, 2,200 chickens or something they had in this big thing, to cook them. And the nice thing was, the grand prize was a brand new Scotty trailer. So somebody went home with the 15-foot Scotty. Already had one, but you went home with another one. That was pretty generous. You're lucky if a place gives you a pen or pencil anymore, something, but it was nice to have that chance to win a trailer. And there was other, they had other TVs, big prizes. So he was very generous too. And they had a pageant, and they had Miss Scotty Land, so the teenage girls. There's all different organizations, different clubs. The Ohio clubs had a couple in New York, Pennsylvania, and they would select a girl from their group, and they would ride in the back of a car. They dress the cars up and everything. It's all in the papers here if anyone cares to look. And so they would pick Miss Scotty Land, and there was kind of a big thing to have that in the pageant. Stuff going on all weekend there, and he was just a very generous person for these little trailers and how this company just grew. I mean, just took off. They used to sneak at nighttime, take a water hose, run to the bath, because there's no water hookup in the early days, so they would sneak big water cord, run it to the bathroom. Everyone would fill their tanks up inside their trailer, and someone would be on the watch out, so if they saw John Serro coming, they'd give the signal, and they'd quick wrap everything up and put it back in. But he was a very good man to everybody, and it was just, the campground itself was just a great thing to have. The campers themselves, the trailers themselves, they were just known with that blue and white. People knew when you saw them going down the road. They knew it was a Scotty, they knew the family, and it was just a very close-knit company. And people criticized them a lot, because this is wrong, this is breaking, why'd you do this, why'd you do that? And back then it was just, kind of on the fly things, how to build them. But they still sold them. And he was equally good to his dealers. He would have everyone come down to Seven Springs, down in, who knows where Seven Springs is, down in the Laurel Highlands, down here in Somerset County, big resort. He would have all the dealers come once a year. Trips, TVs, hotel, he paid for everything. And again, for a little company with a 4th grade education, his mother used to take care of minors. And I'll let you folks in on a little secret that his brother owned a restaurant, his other brother owned a repair shop, John had the dealership, Dodge sold that and went to the trailers. This one magazine I have, paper, has the grand prize on here, these people winning, and I'll leave it up here. Again, just remarkable how generous a man this guy was. He really was. And just all the people that really liked him, and they had board of directors. Again, just starting from a little sketch on a piece of paper, how this company just grew. No two Scotty trailers basically are the same. There'll be people, I got a 13-foot too, but how come you got an extra window here, or you got the screen door and I don't, or how come this is this? They never built them that seems the same. Everyone had a different, whatever on the production line, they just did. They would just throw this in, let's throw an extra light here. How come you got an extra light in the back of my couch? It just depends whatever, they decided to do. There's a lot of hit and miss. For some of you that know the bubble that they have, the high back, they used to do that before the door. And now the bump is over the door. Before, people were going in hitting their head. So they decided to move the bump over more. They did a lot of, trial and error things. They built a fiberglass trailer in the early, I think late 60s. They built a fiberglass trailer. That did not go over well. Too much cracking right in the center of the whole trailer. I've only seen one, and that's at Scotty Land down in Pennsylvania. It's in the barn there. And they've brought that out for the show before, to show people. It's pretty expensive, $3,300. When you're selling your 18-footers, for $17.95, the 15-footers for $1,300, that was quite a big. And they had their own clique, their own group, with that price range, and they kind of were snobbed upon, I guess, from what I heard from different people. They were just their own clique group, whatever. And they didn't sell many of them because it wasn't working. That with the fiberglass cracking in the center, so that was kind of a short-lived thing. The 80s rolled along. Gas crunch was coming. They shut the factory down early 80s for 5 months, and Joe Purcell, the vice president, his son-in-law, he came in every day and answered the phone. Not much was ringing, but he still stayed there, and the company thrived. They got back in it, and the 80s were very good to them. They went to the earth tone colors, which a lot of trailers did. Still very successful. They had 3 plants. They opened their other 2 plants I forgot to mention, in the 60s, in Ashburn, Georgia, and Bristol, Oklahoma. John always wanted to go out west, so he got as far as Oklahoma. That plant survived a few years. 70s gas crunch came too, and that closed that plant down. They kept the Ashburn, Georgia plant open. That came to a halt early 80s, and 2 workers decided, hey, let's start up. Can we continue the Scotty? And they agreed. They sold it to them. The trailers were called Scotties, but you couldn't call them, you couldn't say Serro Scotty in the like the brochures will say Scotty trailers, and you'll see at the bottom, Serro Scotty. They couldn't use the word Serro anymore, but they were called Scotties, and they're built exactly the same as the ones identical. They just couldn't use Serro in any of their literature or anything. So it's a separate company, but basically it was the same, and that didn't last long either. That company went down too. So it was just the Irwin plant. And then unfortunately in '97, the factory, after everybody left at night around 6:30, had a massive fire and everything. The factory burned pretty much right to the ground. Started in the back, and Joe Purcell was there. He lived close by, Mr. Serro's son-in-law. Mr. Serro passed a lot of medical conditions, Alzheimer's unfortunately, so he was unaware of what happened to his factory. And Joe Purcell drove down there at the fire. He says, Jerry, I was talking with him, he says, Jerry, I'm standing there, and I could see the fires way back in the factory, but right up front, where the front door is, they have a very small office. All the memorabilia, like stuff that I have, was all on the wall. You could see the fire slowly coming. He said there was plenty of time to go in there and get all that stuff. And they said the firemen wouldn't let me in. And he knew it's a small little town, he knew the firemen stuff. They wouldn't let him in. He said, I cried. And I can imagine, he said, I just saw all that stuff just burn. And they wouldn't let him go in there and get everything. So they said, when you die, you have to will all your stuff to us, because you have a lot. They do have some stuff, but he says, you're going to have to will all that stuff because we don't have anything. And it was just sad, to hear that. When the fire had started, a couple years before that, they got a call from Pittsburgh Fire Department. We got this idea, can you folks build us a fire safety house to teach kids about fire safety? yeah, I guess we could do it. And Mr. Serro's granddaughter, Ann, headed that project up just out of college. Joined the company. They built this fire safety houses, which I'm sure you folks have seen in a lot of fire departments. They teach kids about fire safety. Doors get hot. They show you about the hot stove, this and that. They can blow fake smoke through it. A lot of fire departments have them. Scotty started building that for Pittsburgh, got the idea in their head, built a couple more. They got some more orders, and they could make them right on the production line, right with the trailers. This, again, this is in the 90s. So they could build, when I went down there a few times, the one time I was down there, you know, they got the 16-foot Scotty, the 18-foot Scotty, 23-foot Scotty, and there's the fire safety house, you know, two of them right in the middle. They could just do everything. It's a small little factory, but they could do everything right on the assembly line. And that just grew. But when the fire happened, they decided not to build trailers anymore, camping trailers, because the market was just, it was flooded. It was just too much competition. But let's still build a fire safety house. And to this day, they moved to Mount Pleasant, Pennsylvania, brand new building, started building fire safety houses. Then they got calls from the government, these command centers, disaster trailers, any kind of, you know, Red Cross things, not just fire safety houses now. They're building all these other type motorhomes, 18-foot wheelers, all this stuff for the government and disaster relief, just tons of different police. The weather trailers that teach people about weather. They make the curtains and the blinds will rattle like this. They got the fake lightning inside. You know, teach senior citizens trailers, teach them about different safety things. And the company, if you go on their website, Mobile Concept by Scotty, it's a huge website. The things they build now is phenomenal. And Mr. Serro's granddaughter, Ann, just took that company off. And unfortunately, I just found out last year she passed away at 54 years old. I was devastated because Ann was she was very good to me, extremely good. And just a wonderful woman. It was, you know, her grandfather built this little trailer company and she just took this company to the next level. So it was very sad when I just found that out. And I found out after she passed away, unfortunately, but just, she's the one that actually told me to will all my stuff to her. She goes, Jerry, you got to look. She took me out to dinner. She came up to Syracuse where I live one time. She goes, Jerry, you got to give me all this stuff. She's in the back seat of my car looking through my old Serro Scotty book. She goes, Jerry, you got to will all this stuff to me. She goes, I don't have any of this stuff. And I said, I will, and I did. I made arrangements in my will to, you know, donate all this stuff. Unfortunately, she, yes, had passed away with 3 children and a husband. And her husband's running the company right now, but still thriving, still very successful. And it was just kind of a blow to me because she was so good to me, just as her grandfather was to everybody. Does anyone have any questions? Don't be afraid to.
Were there knockoffs like Metzendorf or knockoff of Scotty?
I had a Metzendorf, and boy, you know, like we all say, how many times do we all say, gee, I had a 63 Corvair, I should have never sold it. You say that, and I had a Metzendorf. You swear it's a Scotty. Yes, it was kind of, yes, the speckle, they even had the speckle, they had a beige speckle interior, same little speckle paint, black and stuff.
Knockoff or something?
It was, yes, they pretty much took their idea from them, yeah. As Scotties, I was telling somebody here today, some of the early Scotties had the little wing on the back, just like Shasta does. And that cutout, if some people don't know or don't even care, that little cutout is from the wheel well of the Scotty. If you know, Scotty trailers have a little cutout where the wheel well is so you can change the tire. They cut that piece of wood in the factory and they made the wing out of that. Shasta saw it and called him up. This is all verified by Joe when I visited with him. He says, yeah, Jerry says, yeah, Shasta called us up and said, hey, you're taking our wing idea off the back. It wasn't patented or anything, but it was their idea, Shasta. And Joe says, Jerry says, yeah, I admit it, yeah, we took the idea from you. So they agreed, though, because at the time, Shasta was in Pennsylvania, too, one of their factories. Enola, I think was the factory. So they stopped doing they just threw that piece of wood out. But that's where they got the wing idea from Shasta. They said they admit it, so yeah, what are you going to do? But yeah, so Metzendorf, yeah, they did, you know, each trailer company seemed to take a little bit from somebody else. As you know, a lot of the Scotties have the drop-down floor. That's what got Mr. Serro into the RV Hall of Fame. You have to get in the RV Hall of Fame, you have to do something beneficial to the RV industry. His idea was you can make a Scotty trailer, 13 foot, get it in a standard garage. Because he dropped the floor, lower ceiling, if you were 4'2", but no, he made that drop floor so you could get the trailer in the garage. So that's how he got in the RV Hall of Fame, just by that design he made. you know, which was very, you know, successful in certain ways. He made it too so you could, that low profile, some of you that have Scotties, you're supposed to open your front window curtains and you're able to look out the back window too. He kind of designed it like that so you can see behind you when you're driving down the road. Most Scotties are like that. So just a little different things. He's tried different things. He never wanted to go big trailers in the 80s. His family talked to him, you got to go bigger, and because everything was getting 35 footers, 30s, but they did, but he didn't want to, but he did. And they were successful too, but again, the roofs, you know, the roof leakage problem, and there's just a lot of other issues, but again, he still sold tons of them. People loved him and loved the product. The workers at the rally, he would send his workers, even though they're trying to enjoy it, he would send his workers at the rally to go around with their toolkits and do minor repairs at anyone's trailer. So if you had something that needed, you know, touching up, fixing, free of charge, he would send the workers around. Again, who's going to do that today? You know, no one's going to do. But again, of course, it's a different era, you know. You know, said I know I keep saying he was just a great man. He was very generous, and all the things that he did, especially with the dealers, and he had dealers all over the place. And he often told Joe, they says, you know, how about we get that kid, meaning me, how about we get that kid from Syracuse to sell trailers for us? And I never knew that till later on in life, but I was kind of touched when Joe told me. He goes, yeah, John used to say, how about that kid in Syracuse? Get him. Because I would write John Serro as a kid, because I started this when I was real little. And he would always write back to me. He'd send me, I have some stuff here he still sent me when I was a kid and always hung on to it. A lot of it I've lost, but a lot of it I still have. But never went camping as a kid. Never. I was 16 years old and I bought a Scotty trailer before I had a car. I had to have my neighbor tow it home. And I'm out there I'm tinkering with it at nighttime out there. You know, my neighbor across the street had one. That's where I got the idea. They never asked me to go with them, but they would go, but they would never let me, you know. I used to play in it as a kid, you know, the kid across the street just played camping, whatever, but that's where I got the idea. And I'd spend my dollar allowance on an RV, Trailer Life magazine, and flipping through it. There's a Serro Scotty ad. Oh, Mom, here's the trailer across the street, the guy I write to. And him and I were pen pals for years, just writing back and forth. And I finally did get to meet him once down at Scottyland. Very nice man, older. He offered taking me to lunch. I felt like I was bothering him, so I told him, no, I'm also, you know, I drove all this way from Syracuse, it was a huge ride, and I should have stayed. I just felt like I was bothering him. I wasn't, but I got to meet him, and it was nice. It was a good meeting. Unfortunately, all this empire that he built was taken. My stuff, if you care to, you'll see her dressed up as they did back then, like June Cleaver. She's got the dress, high heel. This is at the rally. Dress, high heels, and pearls. Now, I haven't seen anybody here yet like that. But it goes, that's the era back then, that's just what you did back then. But he had married, he married again, some lady that that camped at Scottyland, actually. So that was kind of neat. He was at Scottyland. She was a camper there. Her husband had passed away. His wife passed, so they ended up for many years, you know, and they both had passed away now. But that was kind of, you know, a neat thing. But again, being escorted out of there, it was pretty sad for him, you know, to go through that. I have a lot of collectible stuff up here. You're welcome to look at it if you want. You don't have to. I've had this stuff for eons of years. I said collecting as a kid. And this is kind of neat here. This was a local guy, Lou LaValle. This record here, he made a song up of Scottyland. He would play at Scottyland during the rallies, and probably during the year or two. He was probably local musician down there. But this cover's nice because these are all pictures of Scottyland here. Of course, you got the Scottyland trailer there. But this guy would play at the rallies and at some of the campouts, just a local. And it was, in memory, I think, of his mother, there was some fake stills set up. And if you look through some of these papers, you'll see some of the guys making the fake stills and stuff and having it at their sites. And every site it's really neat if you had a chance just to flip through some of these things. And it was just good, clean fun. You know, not like certain things aren't today, but a lot of kids, a lot of games they had, but you can just see everybody's just having fun, and it was nothing, you know, nobody got hurt, nobody cared about this, sign this paper, protecting me from that, whatever. It was just a good time. On the back of this too, if forgot I had this in there. This was from 1969, January 1st, effective. John Serro came up with a new pension plan for everybody at the factory. I just have some really weird stuff, but I got this too, changing things around. Said he was just very good even to his employees and everybody. So again, there's a bunch of stuff up here if anybody wants to look at. You don't have to. It's just stuff that I've collected. He tried this gimmick in the 90s with the earth tone colors. 2-year warranty. Better than anybody in the industry. They knocked that off pretty soon because people were calling out, you know, screw came out of the cabinet, or they were just knob. I remember them telling me, they said, Jerry, we just decided, forget that. He said, then people just calling out for every little, you know, stuff they could just fix themselves. But they tried as a gimmick to, you know, to boost sales up. Just the standard 1-year, I guess, warranty didn't work. How many people here have Scotties? Can we just go real quick what model you have or size?
I got you. 12 foot.
12 foot 13? Ed, what do you?
65 Sportsman.
Keep going down the line.
63, 12 foot. 13 foot.
Okay. Rear gaucho or bathroom in the front? What do you have?
No. Well, I've got,
That you did tell
I've
me.
got parts of one that's got the front kitchen,
Yes.
and I've got another one that's 6 foot. So it might be around 1960. It's got
Okay.
the square cut out in the
Okay.
wheel instead of the teardrop.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know what year that was.
Yeah, that'd be later. Unless someone remodified. I had one that someone put a new sidewall and they made it square.
I've seen them like that.
Might
No,
be
this-
my old one.
This one's great the way it came.
Oh, okay. And who else?
No, 73 gotcha.
73. Okay. Who else? Just shout out.
Trunk back.
Trunk back.
76 Gocho.
Okay. Other folks scanning.
86 16 footer.
Okay. Yeah, you're right next to me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You guys were awful loud last night. Okay. No, just kidding. Henry, right? Yeah.
65, 67, and 69 gauchos.
That's all?
You gotta get some even numbers in there.
The trunk back was an 18-footer, and wasn't. People said you should have never made it, John. Too big. You know, it's not really a big trail, but it said too big. And they had an awful lot of problem with the leaking in the back of that trunk area. That seemed to always be rotted. But it's a nice little storage area. But and they got the bathroom, the shop. He runs the campground now, and still opened. And you know, it's still remarkable to have, you know, still have Scotty land. There's still some Scotties down there. There's still some people there that were back there years ago. I've talked with several of them people. But yeah, so he was just for a 4th grade education, remarkable. Just how you had all this.
How many of the 13 footers were made?
They were in the thousands. They were in. I mean, you could build. Joe told me, I believe it was 7 a day they would build on the production line. This is back in the 60s, so you're talking, you know, 8,500 staples times 7. So you're talking, you know, and that's really not bad. 7 trailers on, you know, production line. Next year, if you folks come and I come, I wouldn't do a presentation again to bore you, but I do have in my car. It's on VHS. Some of you might have seen it. I have on VHS tape, I know. I've got to get it converted over to DVD. John Serro filmed with his 8mm camera the building in 1962, 63, 60, maybe 60, 61, building a 13-foot Scotty in the factory. There's no sound. I think I just set music to it when I play it. 8mm converted over. It is crazy and it's wild. It is. I would like to get it converted over, and maybe we could show it somehow on the screen next year. It is. I got it in my car right now. If anyone's got VC player right now, I'm just saying, no, if you want to take it privately and watch it, you're more than welcome to at their trailer. But it is just the technology back then. You know, it's just not. It's very minimal. But they show it right from the beginning. John Serro, his wife's there. They open the garage door. They wheel out they show the welder welding the trailer frames. They welded it and built the frames themselves until the 80s, and they had some local company who was making the frames for them. But they used to build everything right there. Same with the fiberglass trailer I was mentioning. Some other place in town built the fiberglass for them. They would transport them then to the factory and do the final, you know, touches, whatever. But the fiberglass wasn't built there. But this video is just, so they show this guy wheeling a bunch of frames out, welding them, and then the guy gets on the frame. This is just the quality back then, quality, you know, assurance. He gets on the frame and he's going like this on it, just testing the springs. That, I guess it passed, so on to the next one. It's just remarkable. And then they show the cutouts, the side walls. They've got like a bunch of them stacked against the wall, and then they're cutting more of them out. And the trailer's coming down the line. They got the linoleum, the guys with the big rollers laying the linoleum down. You know, putting the windows in, putting the aluminum. They show the flat aluminum, and then putting the creases in it out of the machine coming out, putting that on. I don't think they used caulk back then. It was just kind of, but it's just, you know, staples, and they putting the windows in, then the little Serro Scotty decals, putting the doors on, and then you see the final product, the final Scotty roll out, and they have a salesman there. They have a few people outside. And they got the salesman with a VW Bug, and he hitches it up, and there's John filming it. And there's that Volkswagen sagging like this, and that thing is way too heavy for a Volkswagen. I think they were trying to show you anything can pull a Scotty, you know. So there's that, you'll see it. There's that Volkswagen like this going up, and they show them leaving the factory, you know, going up. But it was way too much. I have a photo here when John was getting ready to. I know you can't see it. I'm not holding it so you can see. I'm just holding it up. This is a photo. John was opening up his Oklahoma plant. He took a bunch of workers from Irwin out there. It was cheaper for them, and you can see the picture if you want to come up and look at it later. It's nice bright silver. They built like a horse trailer. They built a cab on the back of their pickup truck. It was easier for them to build it than go rent a truck. They built this cab, benches, put the workers in it, and they drove them all the way out to Oklahoma. John and Joe drove in Mr. Serro's car. They had a little incident along the way. The guys decided to get off the road and get some more beer. And of course, no cell phones back then. They took off. John and Joe were wondering, and of course, they couldn't communicate. They had to call the office, and they finally found it, but they did get lost. I think they were gone, missing like for a day or something. You know, they got sidetracked. So, yeah, that's kind of a neat story. And poor Mr. Serro, him and his wife were at a rest area one time in Pennsylvania. They went in to get something to eat or go to the bathroom. Tractor trailer backed up, didn't see the Scotty. From what Joe told me, completely leveled that trailer right out. Completely. So here they are. The car was all right, but he hit the trailer, and it pretty much just flattened the thing. I'm trying to think how that would, I mean, I guess it could, yeah. Just the impact. I assume he's going slow back, I don't know, but he backed up, leveled the trailer, gone. And so John called the factory, said, hey, we're down in exit whatever, bring us another trailer. So someone hooked up and brought him another trailer down there.
You got any Volkswagen?
Yeah. The trailers that have the little, the 13-footers, they made one with the hump on it. If you know what I'm talking about, I know you can't see it from there, but the Highlanders, they have the hump. They made one 13-footer with the hump. I think I've seen a picture. I've never seen it, but I don't know if it's still even out there. He made that for himself because he was a tall man, but he wanted a 13-footer, so he built that. And I don't know if that trailer is still around, but he just, again, they would just do anything odd. I had them build me a 35-footer in '93. They used to build 35-footers, but they stopped making them that year. And I contacted Ann. She said, they said, yeah, we can build. We still got the schematics. Yeah, we can build you one. So they built like a custom one for me in '93. So they did just a lot of odd, you know, odd things, whatever you wanted. Any other questions from anybody?
When did they start making the 13-footer?
That was in 60. That was 62. No, 61. 61. Because they started with the big 16-footer, went to mine, the little 10-footer. Then they went to the 13-footer. I'm sorry. That would be 50. That would be 58. I'm sorry, 58. They went. I have it over here. Yeah, 1958. We built this 13 now. This brochure here is actually, this is original brochure. This one's 1960, but I have the 58 brochure. I'm sorry, 58 is when you went to the 13-footer. And they could only build them in the summer. This is when they were just the aluminum. They could only build them in the summer because of oxidation. And if some of you go by my trailer, you'll see on top I have a rooftop carrier. That is extremely rare find. That the company built, I found out, during the slower times to keep the workers busy. They took just trailer parts and they built a rooftop carrier, a luggage carrier I should call it, for your car. So I have one, it's the only one I've ever seen. It's down there. It's got the little Scotty logo. It's just the way it came. It's just the way they made them. The inside's the blue speckle paint inside. It's got one trap door on the side. But that's kind of that was a neat find that I got. So like I said, they just did some odd, I got this old trailer somebody built from the factory with a still on the front. It's a little wooden trailer. Somebody at the factory built it, and then they put a little still they made on the front where the trailer hitch is. They were all into these stills, I guess, down there. But again, I keep saying that it's a lot of odd things they built and tried to do, you know, different things. They built some little dog houses, little small trailers they would make, you know, out of scrap parts and stuff. So just a neat place. I even have some employees' paycheck stubs over here from the early 70s I had. I just collected all this, you know, stuff that I've had either through eBay or the family or whatever I've accumulated. But just the dealer sign I've got up in Syracuse. A guy I used to work with went to go to this place to get a truck cap. He says, "Jerry, I seen the dealer sign from Serro Scotty up in their rafters." He says, "You should go see if they want to buy it or sell it to you." Went there the next day immediately. I said, "Hey, I got something. I wonder if you want to sell it." She goes, "Well, what's that?" I says, "Well, you got that Serro Scotty dealer sign up in that loft." She goes, "Geez, I got to check with my brother." Says, "You know, that thing probably still works, still lights up. I'm going to have to check with him." She goes in the back. "Yeah, we'll sell it, but you know, it does work still," he said, "and we're going to have to get $50 for it at least." I got a Dodge Neon at the time. I tried, because I was afraid if I go back there the next day with a work truck, they're going to change their mind.
Yeah.
But I had no choice. It wouldn't fit in the Dodge Neon. So I said, "I'll be back." Paid him. I says, "I'll be back tomorrow." Sure enough, I came right after work and got that sign. It still lights up, still works. There's no cracks. Yeah, it was a really nice. And as a kid, I would see that sign hanging out in front. And they've kept it really nice too inside. I mean, it's a great, you know, of course, mine left it in there breaking, but I've got over at my campsite, I've got a Serro Scotty clock that they would just give to dealers to hang in their showroom. They did a lot of dealer things. Not that anybody cares, but ashtrays. This one for the public. This one with the dog, just for dealers. Who knows and who even cares except me, you know? These glasses, we got the Serro Scotty. They're both Highlanders on here. Both the same era. The barrel one, just for dealers. This one for anybody. Who do you know? How do I find out? Who even cares? But just little, you know, just little things that. All the memorabilia, again, remarkable. If they had money at the end of the year, they would say, "Hey, let's put it into advertisement." So everything I got: first aid kits, keychains, pens, pencils, ashtrays, cups, coasters, different types, 4 different types of tie clasps, keychains, you know, just obviously all different kinds of mugs, rock glasses. These are extremely rare. They're really neat. They show the factory. They show the inside of the trailer. It's all that old gold sketch thing. Whoops. They make the bigger size of it too. So they just did a lot of, you know, whatever they had money left over, they would invest. All kinds of patches and bumper stickers. These are the CB signals for your different groups that you belong to. Everyone's in a CB club. They would have, once a year, they would do not a rally, they would do a caravan. In 1969, they went to Nova Scotia. So from Irwin, no, Somerset, where Scottyland is, from down Somerset County all the way to Nova Scotia, 47 trailers. Huge line. Yes, people broke down. But I can't imagine those going down the road, all those people. And to organize that, how many days to get up there, whatever, and just to organize campgrounds and making, you know, just trying to, I got this group coming in and they did it. And they did, they went to Oklahoma a couple times. They've done all different kinds of caravans.
Is there any story why it's a Scotty dog?
There's 2 theories. Mr. Serro drove up to a stoplight one time, and he came upon a truck next to him at the light. Well, I'm going to save that story for another time. No, he came up to a light, and the truck next to him said, "Scotty's towing." So the theory is Serro, his last name, and he saw the Scotty. kind of came up with Serro Scotty. The other theory was that he had a really good fishing buddy. His name was Scotty. Serro Scotty. So I've asked the family, and they were trying to narrow. So it's either one of those things. It was the tow truck incident, or it was his friend Scotty, or it could have been a combination. And he did own a couple Scotty dogs years ago, but not later on in life. He did have a couple Scotties. So that, yeah, that's where the Serro Scotty came from. And sportsmen just, try to make it for, fishermen. He mainly tried to appeal to fishermen, hunters, those kind of. And my little teardrop over there, they made two versions of that. One was the cargo, no bed inside, no kitchen. It was used to haul boxes and whatever you had. I mean, it's kind of impractical, really, but they made a utility trailer in the 70s, small utility trailer. Made a few of those. It's just some really odd, odd things on the factory line.
How many Scotties have you owned?
Quite a few. I mean, I say my first one I was 16. I'm 22 now. So. No, yeah. I have had several. I've had quite a few. One of the best ones I ever had was a good find in Pennsylvania, and it was on eBay, and the people couldn't sell it, and I ended up buying it. When I saw it, I was like, wow. To tell you wow, I sold it to a dealer in Pennsylvania who has a small, in his showrooms, it's a dealer, a camper dealer. He has a small vintage museum at his showroom, and he bought it for that. It's a 68, 13 foot. The screens still shined on it when you opened the window. They were still bright aluminum. Immaculate. He had one small crease where the propane tank was. Someone might have hit it when they put it in. The interior was immaculate. The cushions, I still had all the tags on the cushions, the Scotch guard, the fiberglass sink, nothing was cracked. It was immaculate. The heater worked. It was just, it was showroom, and that's what he bought it for. I got a very good buck for it, but it was showroom, and it would only come out, again, I would take it to rallies. I had a special tent to protect it from the rain, and I just used it for very little, Scotty rallies or, different things like that, but I never took it out. But I bought a camp in the Adirondacks, so I parted with it. But I knew it went to a good home. So yeah, I've had quite a few, all different sizes, and they had some other trailers too. Had a nice little gem. I don't know if anyone heard of Little Gems. They had a Murphy-style bed, 12 foot, with a Murphy. The dinette was in the back. You put the cushions down, the whole back wall came down. There's the double bed. It's a great concept. It was a nice little trailer. I think that's probably, I don't want to bore you folks anymore. You're more than welcome. There's so much stuff. I just forgot, there's just so much about the company. I just, enjoy the trailers. And you're more than welcome to look. Stop by my site if you want to look at my trailer. If any questions, or don't hesitate.